If we can look at that, it shows Raila Odinga stretching his hands from politics and his feet at the AU Special Envoy seat. And well, if we can have that, page 14 of the Daily Nation, you'll see that impression talking about the new appointment of Raila Odinga, the ODM leader, as the special envoy, that is to do with High Representative in charge of African Union, High Representative in charge of infrastructure or development. You can see there Raila Odinga trying to play between politics and the AU special envoy. I don't know what you have to say, Anthony Oloch, in regards to that, because the discussion is that now that Raila Odinga has been appointed to that influential position, then maybe it's time that he gives up on politics and instead now concentrate on his diplomatic duties.
I think if I was doing this cartoon, I would do it the other way around. Not that I think it's right. I think he's stretching, if he's stretching his hand, it should be from politics where he originally is occupying to the AU position.
No, but you can still look at it from the point of view that he's now sitting on the AU special seat, but still trying to grab the politics seat and hang on.
I think the issue is one that I think Senator Orengo captured for me very well.
Yes.
That Raila Odinga is a person who is able to both chew gum and walk the stairs at the same time. So if there's a question as to his capacity to be able to juggle those balls, I think he's been in our headline news for the longest time. And if you were to have politics going forward without Raila Odinga, I don't know who will set the agenda. You have seen the questions in the...
Maybe you can.
Even in the question, I don't want to put myself in that league yet. Maybe in 100 years.
Oh, okay.
But if you look at the questions that have occupied our headlines, right from 26th of October last year, it has been about Raila Odinga. It was about the repeat election, then it was about the IEBC must go, again set up by Raila. There was a question about corruption, and then when he didn't speak about corruption, again those were headlines. You have constantly seen the capacity of Raila Odinga to not only set the agenda, but also to reinvent himself when you thought he was gone. Look at after the 26th, I think they thought, at least from one wing of Jubilee, that Raila Odinga was gone. And then right from nowhere, he pulled a fast one, and there was the handshake. And with the handshake, everybody has been jittery throughout. Even in the Mau issue, and even, I mean, in Bomet yesterday, as we tried to even say, this is about Governor Bomet, the underlying issues there, and Chris, you will remember, one of the members of parliament says, we also wanted to address why we've been called Mamba. I mean, whom is they referring to when they say we've been called Mamba? The issue that they were trying to scatter around there is the famed fable about the Canaan journey. And then inside, in the middle, we discovered there were crocodiles, and then we had to retreat and then build bridges. So some people have taken this to mean that the members that were found there were quote-unquote the members of the Kalenjin community, which really is stretching it. I think there were many obstacles that could be referred as the members there. There was the botched election, there was the stolen whatever, there were the results that didn't come back. There were lots of obstacles that I think are being referred to as the crocodiles. But you see, the Rift Valley people now want to re-engineer this to say Raila Odinga is called as crocodiles.
Thank you. Just before you respond, the same or similar story is captured on page 12 of the Standard. Raila allies take on Ruto backers over AU posting. Of course, the story goes to say that the allies of opposition chief Raila Odinga have turned their eye on the lieutenants of his political nemesis, Deputy President William Ruto, for asking him to quit politics. Of course, there has been that argument, and the question I want to ask you, and I ask you because you are a member of the National Super Alliance, just like Anthony Oloch, but you belong to a different party, which is Ford Kenya. Is it time that Odinga leaves politics, or should he, like how the Daily Nation shows him trying to juggle between politics and the AU position?
Raila Odinga defines the political agenda in this country, and you cannot wish him away any sooner. We must be able to live with it. They were together with Kibaki. Kibaki has gone home for retirement. We still have Raila Odinga. The issue of the handshake, it was Raila's issue. The issue of the crocodile now that people are talking about, the journey to Canaan, he's still setting the agenda. And I remember in the last parliament, we had a bill on the retirement benefits, where it was sponsored by Honorable John Badi, and Mheshimiwa Kangata remembers very well. And they had put a clause, the Jubilee people had put a clause that for Raila Odinga to enjoy the benefits of his retirement, he must leave politics. And what did Raila have to say? He says, if he's to do with those benefits, I don't need them.
Right.
He still continue being in politics. When you talk to the people out there, they say the only person who has helped in terms of oversighting the government is Raila Odinga. In fact, some have been saying with this handshake, we are not seeing the really opposition or really oversight. So Raila Odinga is an institution that you can't wish away. And I don't think, he has not commented, I'm not sure, he might even decide not to take over this job of AU Special.
Really?
The special envoy, absolutely.
But he spoke about it
and by the way, I never had him saying,
no, he did.
I never had him saying that when I take up this position, I'm going to leave politics. Raila Odinga, before he was appointed for this position, he must have been consulted, and the record made it very clear. And in that case of being requested or being informed about it, I don't think there was any conditionality. And this kind of a job does not require full-time to quit politics. So those who are wishing Raila Amolo away, he's not going anywhere. We just have to know how to live with him. And still is going to shape the 2022 succession.
Senator Kangata, we saw on Sunday some of your colleague members of Jubilee Party, elected leaders, the likes of Senator Cherargei of Nandi. You also saw Ndindi Nyoro. Actually, is he your MP?
Yes,
I believe so.
Member of Parliament.
Yes, so they were saying that Raila Odinga needs to leave local politics to them so that they can manage the country. Actually, Cherargei said that the president should now move forward. As he was sort of insinuating that it was Uhuru, the president, who championed this appointment. He was saying that Uhuru now should move forward and ensure that Kalonzo gets something in Ethiopia, then Davadi something in Nigeria, so that the rest of them can be left to manage the affairs of the country. Is this the thinking within the Jubilee Party that it's time that Raila Odinga quits politics and concentrate on his new role?
For me, I look at a practical implication of that appointment. One, it's quite a major appointment, taking into account it's a full-time job. I say that based on my interactions with my friend called Mr. Wamunyinyi, who also happens to be a mutual friend with my colleague here, the governor-to-be. So the point is, Mr. Wamunyinyi was once appointed by Kibaki to go to Somalia and become like African Union Special Envoy for Somalia. And they used to tell me it was a full-time engaging job, because one, you usually move out of the country. You go and start living in Somalia, for instance. So in this instance, for Raila Odinga, ideally he will have to shift to Addis Ababa. Number two, you're usually engaged 24 hours in a day, because you're always shuttling from one country to another country. So from a practical point of view, how will Raila be able to continue attending funerals? It is true. Yeah, I don't know. From a practical point of view, you know, Raila is usually a person with a lot of energy. Yeah, he is a high energized person. So therefore, I'm trying to imagine how will he be able to go to various meetings here and there. That does not in any event, by the way, rule him out of 2022, by the way. Because I've also seen some people who go and get those positions, they leverage them. And when they come here, they come with some stature. After 5 years.
Right.
Maybe a good example is like Zuma, Mrs. Zuma. You know, when she was the African EU chairperson or CEO, when she went back, she became a formidable candidate for the presidential race. But for the interim period, when she was there, she was completely engaged. So therefore, I foresee two things. One, from a practical point of view, Raila will not have time to come and mobilize.
Please go ahead. He's your party leader.
But can I conclude?
Conclude.
Okay.
No, my thesis is this one. One, between now and 2022, from a practical point of view, we shall not be able to see Raila. The second thesis, that does not in any event, by the way, completely render him
relevant.
Yes, yes, he may still be a factor.
Will that leave what he has been championing for orphaned and the people that look up to him for leadership?
Let me say that I think if our Uhuru, and same way for Kenyans, if Raila disappeared from the political scene, I would be very worried. I would be extremely worried. The reason is that the government itself has needed Raila in these very troubled times more than he has needed them. Just look at the amount of instability, both financially and economically, that the country has had to go through. It has taken the handshake to be able to stabilize the economy of this country. And even when we were all thinking that on the issue of the VAT, we ought to stand with Mwananchi, it took the intervention of Uhuru to ask Raila, please help me here, for the country to be able to stabilize and get this 8% thing. On the issue of people saying it's time for Raila to leave the scene, my answer is simple. These people never invited Raila into the political scene. You cannot usher or invite him out. It's completely impossible. And I just want to say that for my good Senator Kangata, and I know he said it on a light note, that how will Raila be attending funerals? I hope you said it on a light note, because it would be really unfortunate to reduce Raila Odinga to a person who just attends Matanga. I think he's demonstrated that he's not only a statesman, he has shaped our politics, he's shaped our democracy. Today he stood firm on issues of corruption. So for you to come here and say that how will he attend Matangas would be to belittle my party leader.
So are you orphaned, Chris Wamalwa? He is the leader, he's one of the principals within NASA.
No, I don't think we are orphaned, because Raila Odinga is still there. And for those people who've been saying NASA died, NASA is not dead. NASA is still existing.
They usually see you as a one-man NASA man, because a reason being, a person like Wetangula is now supporting Jubilee. A person like Raila is supporting Jubilee. But this guy, he is still
not supporting Jubilee. Can I correct
this guy is still
Raila is not supporting Jubilee.
One man NASA.
Raila is still the party leader of ODM. And in spite of the fact that you think that he's the last man standing,
he's the last
NASA, there still exists something called NASA. And I believe His Excellency Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is firmly behind NASA, and he has always been saying that he will be Raila Odinga. The reason Kalonzo has been saying he wants to persuade the other colleagues, Weta and Mudavadi, to come back, means that he knows him and Raila Odinga still have family.
By the way,
when I was entering here, when I was entering here, I found him breathing fire against the government. Him, the last man standing. But no, he's the only one doing that.
In the leadership of Parliament and on NASA side. And I want to correct my brother, Alwaj. Raila Odinga is also just the ODM party leader, but it's the leader of the NASA coalition.
Yes. Don't you find that interesting? He is the ODM party leader, and a member of ODM has told you he is the party leader of ODM. He has not said about NASA.
He has two hats.
No, he forgot. That's why he's mentioning that. And even him himself, he said it. When we were in Kakamega, he spoke about the NASA coalition, and he mentioned about the respective leaders. Kalonzo Musyoka was there, Musalia Mudavadi was there, Moses Wetangula is there. And Moses Wetangula has said many times,
it's a
that NASA is there.
No, he said
you
it's
know,
a
when you talk of
organization.
Moriband, does not mean it's dead. It still exists.
Let me get
we have the coalition. We have the coalition agreement. So when we are in Parliament, we are referred as the NASA coalition. So that's one thing you need to know. When you go to the register of political parties, it is provided for. There's a clear legal framework that is provided for this. So NASA, it is that we have Jubilee and we have NASA. But we are cooperating because of the handshake. But we are not saying, we are not oversighting where Jubilee goes wrong.
I'm just looking at the meaning of moribund. These are not my words.
What is the meaning of
These are the
moribund?
words of your party leader.
Yeah, what is the meaning of moribund?
One of the meanings is
Go
that
to the Oxford English Dictionary.
It's a thing in terminal decline, lacking vitality or vigor. If it's an adjective, then it means that it's of a person at the point of death.
But you know, even a person at the point of death, until the life machine has been pulled off.
Absolutely.
There are miracles that have happened, and I'm not saying that NASA needs a miracle. I think the word moribund has been used metaphorically, so to speak, to say that, you know, to express disquiet and disappointment on a few things that have not gone right. And it is not only in NASA that things have not gone right. Even in Jubilee, things are, I mean, if you want to use moribund, I think the word moribund is more applicable. And I was about to say this about how they displayed the issues in the Mau. When you have quarreled with your wife, you don't go to a wedding with your wife the next day, because some of that will play out. And I think the president and Ruto ought to have done a little bit of more introspection and meetings in between, because they have been, you know, living in separate beds for a while, and then to come out and go and nika yourself in Nini, I think they could have done a little bit more of internal cleaning up before they went to...
Right, as you conclude, there is a bill that didn't get the backing of sufficient MPs, and that is the bill that you are sponsoring, which was seeking to move the election date from the 2nd Tuesday of August to the 3rd Monday of December. And what we understand is that there were just 187 members of parliament on that day. You needed 233. Just what really happened, and is that the end of that idea?
In the history of parliament, to raise the 2/3 majority, it has never happened actually. It only happened the time maybe you are electing a speaker. And the 2/3 majority rule, it's found in many other jurisdictions, even in the United States. And on that very day, some members had gone to the US. In fact, some had proposed that we need to push as we wait for them to come. And remember, in line with our standing orders, when a bill has been debated at the 2nd reading, the mover can request the speaker to propose a different date for purposes of voting. And this being a constitutional amendment bill, it required the minimum of the 2/3. And that's why before any voting takes place, the speaker must ascertain that you have those numbers. And even to raise 187, it's not an easy thing. You should have known how much we went out there trying to lobby, you know. It was not an easy task. So in our standing orders, you can bring back that bill after the 6 months. In fact, we had champions from the Senate who are waiting for this bill. Honorable Gangata here, the chair of the legal team the other side, they're waiting for this bill to come. And that's why we've also had issues with the 2/3 bill for the 2/3 gender. So, but not everything is lost.
Right.
After 6 months, this matter can be brought back. We also had challenges. People asking, is this issue a referendum issue? And when you look at Article 101, and I argued, because we were moving the elections date from August of the 5th year to December of the 5th year. And the term in the Constitution is divided in terms of years. So in my own interpretation, if you're within the same 5th year, you're not changing the term of the president. So the issue of referendum was not the case. But Speaker mentioned very clearly in his ruling, he said this, it is not our work to interpret. The responsibility of interpretation is in the courts. He said that we as legislators, ours is to legislate. So that means the bill was in order. This bill went through the Committee of Legal Affairs, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. It went round the entire country, the 47 counties, which is a requirement, Article 118 for public participation. And the public participation gave it an approval of almost 80% that they want to move the elections from August to December. That's the public. But now, pertaining this bill, somebody can bring up again the bill after the 6 months.
Are you planning?
Or we are talking about the issue of a referendum. People, when this conversation comes on the table, there will be critical proposals that will come on the table, and the committee that will be there will be able to see how do we frame this issue of referendum, or if we want to do the amendment. Is this amendment going through the parliamentary initiative, or is it going to be a referendum?
The question
issue?
I'm asking, are you planning to, or you have given up?
No, I've not given up. What is going to be there is, we've seen there's this handshake committee that was put in place, and you've seen other members of parliament who have brought in some proposals. And we've put it clearly that if a committee is put in place to look at these referendum issues, so that they can be able to see which ones are of priority, which one are of significance, which are not, so that it can form, even on the basis, it can be among the ones that can be included when we do the amendment of the Constitution.